Well, flip my toboggan because this week we got both the shortest and most divisive episode so far. This episode severed the fan base in more ways than Jim on the testing floor. And we have opinions on the episode for sure, but we're going to leave them to the end and first focus on why you clicked the video for the clues and the theories. That being said, get your little bottle of ether ready because we're jumping into the Harmony Cobell story. Clearly, the biggest revelation from this episode is that 12-year-old Harmony was pretty much a young Da Vinci because she was the inventor of the Severance chip. The technology that Lumon relies on was not only not made by an Eagan, but was outright stolen from young Harmony during her Wintertide Fellowship, which happens to be the same fellowship that Mrs. Wong is also going through right now. And it is worth mentioning how well executed the symbolism was of her stealing back the knowledge from the Eagan head, and how it looks to be foreshadowing her revenge tour on Lumon and the Eagans. And you know what? All this backstory allows us to better understand her motivations and shed some new light on old interactions she had with other characters, especially the Queen Bee herself, Helena.
We can now pretty safely assume that this is the reason she was so invested in Petey's reintegration and not the fact that she was just trying to do damage control for the severed floor as the manager. Her investment in the functionality of the chip and its ability to be bypassed was because of her knowledge around its design, which is also why she'll be an integral part of Mark's reintegration now that Devon finally got a hold of her on the phone. Additionally, what was her reason for creating the chip in the first place? Well, we know from the Danger Mouse clue that there was a focus on the stealing of memories from the captain, but based on the notes we can see from Cobell's notebook, she may have been working on this as a way to separate or save the memories of those she most cared for. She was obviously devoted to the Eagans, but also her mother, even when she was selected to go off to school as a child, showing a lot of promise. This may have been an attempt to preserve her mother's thoughts, but showed the use for the Lumen CEO's ability to share their knowledge after their passing. This is highly likely that it's something to be used in their revolving ceremony if it's used to store their knowledge for future use. As far as stealing the memories, this could also be what we're seeing being macro data refined as well. If the chips are allowing the company to retain these thoughts and memories, the MDR team are most likely separating and taming the tempers within them to be used in the rooms for the testing floor.
Now let's talk about the cozy town of Salt's Neck because, fun fact, Rob and I have a rustic Airbnb right next to a quaint local coffee shop there. Fair warning though, it's filling up pretty fast, so go ahead and drop those reservations in the comments. All right, bad joke. Clearly, the Lumen Ether Factory was the lifeblood of the town, and when they jumped ship for Kier, it crippled the town, unfortunately, in more ways than one. And we can speculate that the transition from Ether to microchips happened after Jamie Eagan got wind of Harmony's idea. However, the fact that she still has the original notebook may support the idea that she has a trick or two up her sleeve, things she didn't tell Lumen initially, and now she can exploit them. And you know what else? With the underground ether trade going strong, Harmony and Hampton proving that Lumen employed children, it is plausible they fueled the town's ether addiction on purpose. And we can even see some ether hooked to Harmony's mother's breathing machine. A nice touch, by the way, having the blue and red dial split down the middle. This may hint that Harmony's mother Charlotte became addicted just like everyone else in town, and may have cost her her life. And it would explain why Sissy, who has drank all the Lumen Kool-Aid, I mean, her room is just littered with Lumen propaganda, but it does speak to the shame she feels about Harmony's mother being a non believer and a drug addict. And the kind of company Lumen is, it wouldn't be crazy to think that they might have been using some of the individuals that they got addicted to ether as initial test subjects for the severance procedure. You know, with them facing limited work and the allure of severance, people may have felt compelled to join Lumen, leaving the remaining townspeople hating Lumen and the Eagans forever.
One analogy that we've taken from that as well is that Lumen seems to have both a history and kind of a present with child labor. It's been stated before how innies, based on their naive nature and fresh consciousness, are similar to using child labor, just furthering the Egan's disregard for the social norms and only following their own beliefs and looking out for their own self interests. Now, all that being said, we'd be remiss if we didn't leave you with a theory of why this episode will be important going forward. With Ms. Cobell's now very apparent knowledge of the chip's capabilities, She's the perfect person to help step into the gap left by Ragabi in Mark's reintegration situation. Say that 5 times fast. He's really going to need someone who understands how the chip works to walk him through this and keep him level. So, who better than not only the inventor, but also the person that both his innie and outie have long standing relationships with? But this also sets Harmony up as both the person he needs to survive because of the reintegration, but also possibly his biggest resource when trying to infiltrate the severed floor with the knowledge she has as well as an unsevered manager.
Okay, now we told you we talk about our opinion on the episode at the end. So, Rob, what'd you think of the episode?
I did like it. I know it's been very torn across even the fans and diehard fans of the show, but I did enjoy it, even though it's definitely not my favorite episode that we've seen so far. Last week's, hard to top, but I did like it. What about you?
Look, to your point, it wasn't my favorite episode of all the Severance episodes, which is a high bar. But I very much enjoyed it. And as much as I love the gang and their antics on the MDR floor, I really appreciate the writers giving us fleshed out, complex villains and anti-heroes. Fact is, I like seeing how these characters tick. If I'm being totally honest, I like to see the backstory on Milchek as well. He's a really interesting character. And I'm here for the journey. I'm in no rush. So I enjoyed this episode for what it was, cinematography and all. And that will wrap up this episode. As usual, we want to hear your thoughts and theories. And if you have a topic we did not cover, drop it in the comments so we can discuss.
And as always, if you like what we're doing, let us and the boards keep doing that. I mean, the algorithm, no, by liking and subscribing. It helps out the channel, and we always really appreciate it. So until next time, stay sleuthy.